Hey guys, welcome to episode 11 of Bukkit for Beginners. In this episode I'm going to go over health, hunger, and also health scales, which is a new thing that has just been introduced to Bukkit, but I think pretty recently actually. It's pretty cool. It lets you change the amount of hearts that you have. So, first off, I want to mention to you guys that in a previous video a person commented and said how the you had to check if the sender was actually an instance of a player. So to do that, you need to say if the sender instance of a player. Now, to understand what this actually means, you need to understand classes and subclasses, which is going to be in the next video. So if you want, pause this video quick, go check out episode 12, where I'll explain subclasses, classes, and objects and constructors. Check that out and then come return back to here. If you don't care, then keep going. So we're going to check if the sender is an instance of a player, then we're going to cast it there. So first command we're going to do, it's going to look like this. It's going to be hurt and then the player name, player name and then an amount. So we're going to say if, this is setting up our command, if the command label equals, and ignore the case, hurt, then we're going to say, so if the command is equal to hurt, we're going to enter here, we're going to say if, and we're going to try to get the, we're going to try to get a player out of a string. So because this right here is args0 and this is args1. So you can't do like send message and set the health to a string, so we have to turn that into a player. And to do that, we access a method in the Bukkit class, so Bukkit.getPlayer, and we're going to give it a name, which in this case is args0. And we're going to say if whatever this returns, we're going to make sure that it's not equal to null, because null means that the object has no value. For example, if I have an integer named I, and I do that, I is null right now. Until I say I equals 5 or something and I give it a value, I is going to be equal to null. Now it's not equal to 0, because 0 is a value. It's equal to null, which means there's no value to it. You can have a player that's null. So what we're doing is we're making sure that it actually does find a player. And it's an online player as well. So if it tries to get a player that's not online, this will return null. And you can add an else to this as well. So you can add an else and then print out the player you're trying to hurt is not online, sort of thing. Actually, we'll do that right now. We'll say send message. Can't find player. And actually, we'll tell it what player it can't find. So we'll give it arg0. So it can't find player plus a space and then the thing that you typed in. So let's say it does find a player. So it's not equal to null. So it found a player. We're going to store this in a new player object. We'll call this player to hurt. And set this. We're going to give this the value of Bukkit. We're going to get the player again. And then we are going to damage. We're going to damage player to hurt. We're going to damage him, which is a method in the player class, because we just made an object of the player class called player to hurt. And we're going to damage him by whatever amount they put in, which is args1. But if you notice, if we just put in args1 here, we can't do that because this is a string, and you can't damage a person by a string. Now, since what they pass in is going to be a number, what we can do is we can parse that, which means turn it into a double. The way we do that is we access the double class. Notice this is the double class, not the double primitive. The double primitive has a lowercase d. So we're going to access the double class, and we're going to inside of that class, there's a method called parse double. And there's an integer one, like integer.parseInt. There's a long.parseLong, and etc., etc. So we're going to parse, and it takes a string as a parameter. We're going to parse args1 into a double. So we're going to damage the player to hurt by this amount, which comes back as a double. Or you could say double damage amount is equal to double, and then we're going to parse the double here of args1, and then we're going to hurt them by the damage amount. Either way would work. If you want to consolidate it all into one line to be a really awesome programmer, you can do that. If it makes more sense to you to do it this way, then so be it. Now, just to not confuse you guys, the reason that you're using a primitive here, the double class is used, it's called a wrapper class. It's like a way to turn the primitives into actual variables and stuff. So, because the double primitive has no methods to it, it's just a class. So, double.parseDouble, oops, returns a primitive double object. That's important to note. So we're going to parse args1. Okay, there we go. And then we'll send a message to the player that got hurt. And we'll send message saying in chat color, we'll do it red. And we'll say you were hurt by, and then we're going to tell it who they were hurt by, which is the sender of the command. Whoever sent it is the one that hurt them. So we're going to do player, because that's the person that sent it, and we're going to get his name, get name. Just like that. And that's it. We have to add it to our commands in the plugin YML. So we'll add the hurt command, give it a description named, we'll say hurts a player. And we're going to export. Oops. Java, jar file. I'm not sure why this wasn't all set up already. That's kind of strange. We're going to overwrite the YouTube plugin. Finish. Yeah, that's strange. I wonder why it was not set up. Okay. We're going to reload. We're going to hurt Applejuze by 10. You were hurt by Applejuze, which is myself. So as you can see, it hurt me by 10, which is 10 is equal to, it's actually 10 half hearts, which is 5 full hearts. But now if we type hurt Johnny by 10, can't find player Johnny. You can't do it. Now if we didn't add that, if we didn't add this check here, this if they're not equal to null else, if we didn't add this check here and then catch it with the else statement, then it just would have printed out a an error that said like I forget, it's like in red. An internal error occurred while typing to perform this command, all that. But we can make that happen because what happens if we try to hurt me by pi? Uh-oh. Here we go. There's something that we didn't catch. So we have to basically add an if statement that says if the number that they give us is a number. So I believe there's a method in the double class. Is there one called is double? Or is it in the string class? Oh no, that's a method, I think. Where's that at? I forget. Well, there's another way to do this, and this is a good time for teaching. If we try to, or we just executed that, now what that spat out in the console is this huge, ugly error. And it tells you exactly what the error was. It was caused by a number format exception. This is what you want to look for. You want to look for the exception that it throws, or that's what the Java term for it. It threw an exception. So we want to go into our code and we're going to add what's called a try catch block, which is kind of self-explanatory. We're going to try this code So this is our problematic code. This is the code that could throw an error. And we're going to catch whatever exception we're looking for. We got to tell the Java machine what we want to look for, which in this case is a number format exception, and we'll call it exception. Now you could use this exception object, which it's only going to go into this catch block here if it actually does catch something. So instead of using the exception, we could use like exception. We could oops, my pizza's done. gotta wrap this up pretty quick. Actually, you know what? Pause 1 second. I don't want my pizza to burn because this video is gonna go on for like another 10 minutes. So I will be right back. Sorry about that. Just had to go stuff my face full of pizza, and now that I am full of pizza and Pepsi, I'm ready to program. So, where do we leave off here? Oh, that's right. So, when you catch an exception, if it happens, hold on, I gotta burp. Oh God, excuse me. That was gross. It'll catch a exception. It'll catch any exception that you give it, which in this case it's going to try to catch a number format exception, which is what this is. So you could access you could print the stack trace of the exception, which is basically it's going to print out like this stuff. But if it happens to not oh sorry, more burps are going to come. Oh my God. If it doesn't, oh my God, excuse me. If it happens to catch this exception, that means that the number that they entered wasn't correct. So we're going to send them a message. Now we're sending this to the player because that's who sent the message. We're going to say in check color red. We'll say whatever number they entered, which is or whatever thing they entered, which is args1, is not a valid number. So that's it. It's going to try this code, and it's going to, as it's going through this code, it's going to keep an eye out for a number format exception, and if it happens to happen, it's going to catch it. Instead of throwing this big error, it's going to catch it, and it's going to print this out instead, so you know what happened. So let's just test it out before I continue on into the rest of the stuff. Oh, I'm dead. So we're going to hurt Applejuze by pi, and it says pi is not a valid number. So there you go, guys. Oops, 56. And that's it. So next, we will do how to heal a person. I mean, you can probably guess. I'm just going to go through this quick. It's just you just set the health instead of damaging them. There's a method called set health. So we're going if the command label equals, ignore the case, heal me, or heal and then another player. You could do the same thing that we did here. If the command equals heal me, and actually I forgot to mention, when you're doing a command like this that has arguments, you're going to want to test if the length of the arguments is equal to what you want it to be. So for example, in this case, we want there to be 2 arguments, right? So we want the args, if the args.length, which returns an integer, is equal to 2. Then we're going to go into all this code. That was a Control A and then Control I to fix the indentation. So if the args length is equal to 2, and now notice how all the else's match up, so we'll put an else with the args length saying invalid arguments. Try hurt player amount. Just like that. So, same thing for heal me. we're gonna say if the length of the arguments is equal to 0, because they just want it to be heal me. There's nothing after this. It's not heal me pie chicken soup. It's just heal me. So if the length of the argument is equal to 0, then we're going to take the player that sent the message. Excuse me. And there's a method called setHealth, and we're going to set the health to 20, which is this is an integer, and as you can see, this kind of came up as that slash means that it's deprecated because they changed from an integer health system to a double health system. So you have to give it a double. So you can just put a 0.0, or you can put a D, which means double. Now 20 is 20 half hearts, which is 10 full hearts. So that's setting their health to full. And then you can put an else here where it'll send them if it's invalid or whatever. So, well, we'll do it. So send message, invalid arguments. Bam. Don't worry, guys. In the future, I'm gonna pick up. I'm gonna like pick up pace. So like we'll go through stuff a little bit faster. I just want to, the goal of all these tutorials is for you guys to understand stuff. I could just sit here and say, okay, type this if statement, this one, do a try catch block here, catch the two things, and I could just type all of it out and say this is how you do it, and then you can say, oh, okay, like a robot, and copy and paste it, and then you'll have the same code that I did. My goal is to get you to understand it, understand what's happening, and be able to take this and then make your own stuff out of it. So that's why I'm going through it real thoroughly, I guess. So anyway, we're going to set the health to full, and then we're going to send a message. You've been healed. Got to register our. Actually, we'll do the feed method as well. Command label equals ignore case. Feed me. Actually, I like to put else's after each of these because that way, if the command's equal to hurt, if it's not, if it's equal to heal me, go into that. The reason that I do that is because if you put all regular ifs, it's going to test regardless of whether it hits the command or not, because this on command only gets executed once when you type a command. So it's going to go into it. If you have 40 commands in here with 40 if statements, then, and I'll teach you later on how to have multiple classes for your commands. But if you have like tons of commands, if it catches the if on the first command and it executes that code, it's still going to test and see if it equals those 40 other commands, unless you put else's, because if it's equal to hurt, okay, it's not. Is it equal to heal me? Yes, it is. Go into this code, and then we're done. So that's why I tend to do that. So for feed me, once again, check if the length is equal to 0, and then we're going to set the food level to 20. Bless you. Oh, I just said bless you to myself. Well, forever alone, right? And we're going to send a message to the player, and we'll say you've been fed. And that's it. Now 20, just like the health, 20 is 20 half hunger things, so it's 10 full hunger things. And this takes an integer instead of a double. You can see what the command takes by just looking at this. It takes an integer. Don't gotta worry about what this is called. That's arg0 is what they call it when they make the command, or I'm sorry, when they make the method. So you need to look that it takes an integer right there. So let's test it out. We're gonna save it, and we're actually gonna player hurt damage. We're gonna decrease my hunger as well. So we're gonna set my food level equal to whatever my food level was before. So player to hurt get food level, and then we're gonna, so whatever my food level was before, we're gonna subtract this from the damage amount, and then since we subtracted it from a double, it's going to come back as a double. So we need to cast this whole thing to a integer. So this whole thing we have to cast to an int. Like that. And that's it. Let's try this thing out. You don't got to put these spaces in there. The white space doesn't matter in Java. I could put this all the way down here and it's no different. So yeah, we're not doing that. Let's save it and export. Oh, we didn't register our command. We have hurt, heal me, and feed me. We'll put descriptions later. So we have hurt Appljuze by 10. Boom, half the hunger is gone, half the health is gone. But have no fear, because we have heal me and we have feed me. You've been fed, just like that. So that's it. Hurt Appljuze by 19, so close to death, but we can and you see it'll say unknown command because it's actually feed and then an argument. So if we did feed me like that, it's not going to do anything because you have to. It didn't throw an error, but because it checked that and then it said okay, or it checked this and it said oh okay, it's not equal to 0, so we're just going to exit out of here. So if we do, let's see, the heal me one, we added our check. So heal me, blah blah blah, invalid arguments. Heal me. Wow, I spelled it I said arguments. Good job. Good job. Heal me. That. Feed me. Like that. So that's how you do that. Lastly is the health scale, which is a fairly new thing added to Bukkit. I think so. It's pretty neat. So let me show you how it works. We're gonna make a new command called set health scale. So normal health in the Minecraft is 20. So you can have anywhere between 0 and 20 for your health, because it's 1 is half a heart. Now you can set the health scale to whatever you want. You can double it, so therefore it'll be anywhere between 0 and 40. But if you do like any damage that you do gets scaled as well. So if a zombie does 1 heart to a 20 health scale, it's going to do 2 hearts to a 40 health scale. But you can also adjust that to be whatever you want. You can adjust how much damage a zombie does. You can add all cool kinds of like different health value. You can make it so the player actually gains health. He can like level up and gain health. It's pretty cool. So, and if you guys want, I can show you how to do that in a future video. Just comment. So if you do 1 damage in that, it'll be 2 damage in a 40 health scale because you doubled it. If this was 80, that means you quadrupled it. So this would be 4 damage. Make sense? Well, let me show you how it works. So if horizontal length is equal to 1, because our command's going to be set health scale, and then it's going to be the number of hearts. So that's 1 argument. So I could do the try catch block for the number format exception again, but I'm not going to. If you guys want to, you can. I would recommend doing it to make sure that they don't set the health scale to chicken soup, but you know, it's whatever you want. So we're going to say if the horizontal is equal to 1, we're going to get the player. We're going to set the health scale right there to a double, which is going to be, remember, double dot parse double, and we're going to get the string of, or we're going to get the first argument, which would be a string, and that's it. Let's try it out. Well, we'll send a message saying, oh, I'm sorry. What this is going to do, if you type in set health scale 10, this actually is going to set it to 10, which in this case would be 5 hearts. So we have to take whatever so if they enter 5, it's actually going to be 2.5, but we want it to be 5 hearts. So we have to take whatever they send in and multiply it by 2. Like that. Health scale set to whatever that is, hearts. So let's register it in here. Set health scale. And let's export this baby. Let me show you how this thing works. So we're going to reload and then set the health scale. Let's say we want 20 hearts. Health scale 20. Health scale set to 20 hearts. Look at that. We now have 20. But if a zombie did 1 heart before, it's now going to do 2 hearts. We can set the health scale to 600. Holy crap. Alright, it actually worked. Well, that's a lot of hearts. You're practically invincible. Actually, you're not, because the health is scaled. So a zombie, like with 1 hit, let me show you how much damage it'll do. Boom! Roasted. So you can adjust that so it only does 1 heart, but that's in a future video with like listeners and stuff. So just thought I'd point that out there. You can do a lot of cool things with it. Just thought I'd show this new feature. So thank you for watching. That is about it for this video. So next video I'm going to go over objects, classes, subclasses, and constructors. Thank you for watching, guys.